Welcome to Proven and Probable. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson. Today we're highlighting a Canadian company that is one of the rare pure silver plays, boasting a 44 million ounce indicated resource at 300 grams per ton. Before we begin, I want to personally invite you to join us. All you have to do is click the subscribe button and make sure you click the bell so you stay up to date on all of our interviews. Now, let's get started. Joining us for a conversation is Shawn Khunkhun, the CEO of Dolly Varden Silver Corp. Mr. Khunkhun, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, Maurice.
Glad to have you on the program to share the opportunity before us in Dolly Varden, which is focused on new discoveries and a historic mining camp. Sir, before we begin, please provide us with an overview of Dolly Varden Silver Corp and the unique value proposition the company presents to the market.
Okay, thanks, Maurice. And again, thank you so much for this opportunity to share this exciting story with you and with your subscribers. I think what makes Dolly Varden a very rare opportunity amongst a very rare small group of companies is that, first of all, there's very few pure silver companies that are out there. In a landscape that represents thousands of mining companies, there's only a handful of pure silver projects. And what makes Dolly very rare amongst a very small group of companies is the fact that our project is located outside of the camp. It's located outside of Chile, Argentina, Mexico, and Peru, which the bulk of the world's silver comes from, especially the pure plays. And so having a high-grade opportunity in a safe jurisdiction like Canada makes it quite unique and quite special. So when I think of Dolly Varden, I think of pure silver, and I think of the Golden Triangle and a safe jurisdiction.
You know, you and I were talking about, before the interview, you and I were discussing those that stack silver, how and you and I both love stacking silver ourselves, but for those that are at what we would consider the introductory level, you're stacking bullion. But what I would consider taken to the intermediate level and expert level is when you find a company that is a pure silver play, as we have before us here in Dolly Varden. And that's why I'm so delighted to have you here. And to truly appreciate the opportunity before us, I believe it's paramount to understand the genesis of Dolly Varden. Mr. Khunkhun, please share with us the impressive mining history that made Dolly Varden one of the most iconic names in mining.
A great question. So important to know where it's come from, and that's really going to tell us where we're headed here. So silver was discovered on the property back in 1909, and the Dolly Varden silver mine began production in 1919. And so the Dolly Varden silver mine produced for 2 years. It produced at very, very exceptional grades of 1,100 gram per ton silver. And there was a series of other deposits, other mines that were identified in some following years, including the Torbrit mine. So in and around 1949, the Torbrit mine made its way into production. And from 1949 to 1959, the mine produced about 18 million ounces of silver at 466 grams per ton. And there was two other mines at the time that were identified, the North Star and the Wolf. So historically, there is 4 mines, 2 of them giving meaningful production, and that's really what we've inherited today. Back in 1959, the silver price was 85 cents an ounce. And so mining operations, they just weren't profitable at that price at that time. And so much of the deposit was left intact. And so there's been a series of aggressive drill campaigns in recent years that have drilled out a compliant resource that we can get into a little bit later in this call. But, a strong, rich history. At that time, under the British Empire, it was the Dolly mine was the richest silver mine in the British Empire. Back in the 1950s, it was Canada's 3rd richest silver mine. So it's got a long, rich, storied history. And if you zoom out from the project and you look at the area as a whole, we're talking about Canada's Northwest BC's Golden Triangle. And if you go north, set in the same type of rocks, you've got a very, very famous, what started as a silver mine, which then evolved into becoming a gold mine, which was Eskay Creek. Maurice, 200 million ounces of silver at around 2,200 grams per ton. And there's a lot of similarities between the two projects. And so we are in an area that has got about 1 billion ounces of silver in the ground, and so it's a very rich area. It's the type of area you want to be looking for new big discoveries. So rich storied history, not only on our property but the area at large.
Yeah, I'm hearing location, 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 and we're also going to get into something equally as important to the location, and that is the management. Now that we understand the historical accomplishments of Dolly Varden, get us up to date on the successes in the recent years that the market speculators are basically optimistic about on the upside potential before us.
Well, you know what's really interesting is, despite about 100-year history of exploration and mining activities on the property, it's not uncommon for the company to put out a new discovery that is just quite tremendous from a thickness perspective and from a grade perspective. Some of the numbers that come to mind, in the neighborhood of about 60 meters thickness, right, which is amenable to bulk mining methods, and grades of 400 or 500 grams per ton. So if you look at years 2017, 18, 19, there was about 55,000 meters of drilling, which produced a new compliant resource estimate. And so what we've done is we've taken these rich historic mines and we've brought them into a modern resource. And these resource estimates, with the criteria you need to meet in terms of spacing of drill holes, there's a strict criteria. And the fact that the bulk of our ounces, Maurice, are in the indicated category just shows the confidence we have when we talk about our 44 million ounce resource estimate at 300 grams per ton. So the way I look at where we are and where we're headed is we're anchored with this cornerstone 44 million ounce resource estimate, but really the real story here is the potential to potentially double or triple that resource, and for this to be truly one of the great silver mines, not only in the Golden Triangle, but in the world.
Let's get some boots on the ground. Mr. Khunkhun, take us to the Golden Triangle of BC and introduce us to your flagship Dolly Varden Silver Project.
Okay, so if we, speaking to the Golden Triangle, if we zoom into the project, Maurice, we're sandwiched in between Fury Gold Mines and Hecla. And what's interesting about that is Hecla, which has been producing precious metals for over 100 years and are expert underground miners. Not only do they own a very, very large block of ground to the east of the property, but they're also shareholders. So they're a plus 10% shareholder. They've invested over $2.5 million into Dolly Varden this year. And so Dolly Varden is sandwiched with our 44 million ounce silver resource in between Fury Gold Mines' Homestake Ridge deposit, which is 1 million ounces of gold, 18 million ounces of silver, and then Hecla's got a very, very impressive discovery on what's known as the Eliams trend. So if you look at terms of infrastructure, there's a road that takes us from the Dolly Varden property down to Alice Arm, and that's an ocean port where we bring in our heavy equipment and we barge up drill rigs. And then there's roads and there's power lines that take us to towns like Terrace. So tremendous infrastructure, tremendous endowment, and it's truly a region that's emerging. And it's quite unique because, you've had some really big news in the Triangle of late. Just this week, Ascot, which is just to the north of us, just announced they've got their project financing to take the Premier mine back into production. So there's some exciting things that are happening that are really validating investors interested in the area. We've got some of the largest mining companies in the world, including Newcrest and Newmont, that have made big investments into the Golden Triangle. And so, like you said earlier, it's location, it's infrastructure, it's the regional opportunity that we have zooming into the specific part of the Golden Triangle. And again, what makes it so unique, though, is the nature of the deposit. It's highly uncommon to have such a pure high-grade silver play. Most of our peers are reporting silver equivalents. And if you really look into their numbers, it's a lead deposit, it's a zinc deposit, and half of the equivalent is coming from base metals. And what we have that makes us truly unique is we don't report equivalents. We report the pure silver numbers, and it's really it's a silver project. Very little byproduct, and just exceptional in its thickness and its grade.
You got me giggling here because I'm thinking back to the nomenclatures of those said companies. They tend to have silver in them, but they're not a pure silver play or really a silver play at all. And what's interesting as well, and our listeners should note this, is that you heard about the infrastructure. Now consider the expenditures for the capital expenditures that will not have to be used here because everything is really in place. All right, sir. Exploration is a research and development exercise. I'm interested in hearing how Dolly Varden arrived at their thesis, which has given the company confidence that the upside, making additional discoveries and increasing shareholder value, is just around the corner. Please walk us through the genetic model and then the exploration model.
Okay. So we're blessed by having some of the smartest scientists involved with the project. And so this is a group of exploration geologists and engineers that understand the tricky nuances of the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle is a very, very well-endowed part of the world, was producing and hosting some of the highest grade deposits in the world. But with all the faulting and folding, it can make for a very, very tricky place to build up tonnage. And based on our team and the fact that they've had experience on almost every major mine in the area, they bring that experience, and really you've got two types of mineralization occurring on the property. We have a VMS style mineralization, which is where you've got these very, very high grade, wide intercepts and deposits like the Torbrit mine. And then what makes it really special is we've got this epithermal overprint that's occurring. Maurice, to keep it very high level, I'll just say that structure is everything. And so structural studies like LIDAR has been very useful in identifying structure, especially on a property that has a lot of tree cover. And also understanding the sodium, the potassium relationships, and understanding how that impacts the alteration we're seeing in the field. And so we've identified a term that I've coined the silver highway, where we've got a trend that starts at the old Dolly Varden mine and runs right up to the Chance discovery that stretches for about 5 kilometers. And we've got about 24 showings, past producing mines, new discoveries that we're following up on this silver highway.
I think since 2017, correct me if I'm wrong, you've drilled about 174 holes. Is that correct? In about 55,000 meters?
So that represents drilling that occurred in 2017, 18, and 19.
What can you share with us about the assay results that Dolly Varden has received since then?
Okay, so looking at specifically at the 2020 campaign, where we drilled 40 holes and we've reported 11 assays from those 40 holes. The big highlight or the success so far of this drill campaign has been some methodical 25 and 50 meter step outs at the Torbrit mine. So when we started the drill program, the idea was to see if Torbrit was going to extend, and not only extend in terms of along strike and the opportunities along strike and at depth, but also looking at high-grade mineralization within the block model and extending the high grade and adding ounces by extending high-grade pockets, really focusing on the kilo grades. And so in terms of both goals that we set out at Torbrit, we accomplished both of them on an October 7th press release where we headlined over 300 grams over 12 meters on brand new step outs. And then within the mine, we were hitting 300 grams over 30 meters. And within that, some very, very high grade intercepts. So, this project just keeps delivering. We keep adding and we keep stepping out. And the bulk of the holes that we're yet to report, the remaining 29 holes, half of those are focused on exploration targets. And then the other half are going back with strategic step outs, again, around the Torbrit mine.
Sorry for the interruption, folks, but I do want to remind you, everything we've covered in today's interview, you can find in the description box below. And we count on your support. Be sure to share today's conversation with your family and friends. Now, back to the interview. What type of activity is actively being conducted on your projects at the moment?
So what we've done is we just finished cutting the last of the core and logging the last of the core and getting that out to the assay labs. So right now we are going to take all the drill data that comes in, and we will drop that into and marry it with all the historic work that was done in previous years, and then come up with targets and the plans for the 2021 campaign. And I should say, some of those plans are going to include more than just exploration.
Now, before we leave the project site, fill us in on the latest round of financing, which was conducted successfully back in November, and then the company's acquisition of strategic surface rights.
Okay. Yeah, this has been a very busy year on the financing front. The company raised about $27 million in total in 2020, which is quite exceptional considering that in February, when I took over the company as the new CEO, the market cap in total equated to 20 million. So it's been a very busy time. We've staircased the financing prices. So we started the year with a 30-cent financing, then a 45, a 71, and the last financing we conducted was at $1 a share, where we raised $7 million. And in terms of the new land deal that we announced just within the last week, what we've done there, Maurice, is for years the company was leasing all the land that housed the Dolly Varden camp, the Dolly Varden buildings, all the core storage, including waterfront access to where the barge would deliver the equipment that's used on site. And so, I thought, as I look forward to development and future development opportunities and mining operations coming back to the Dolly Varden project, I really wanted to control our own destiny. So the company has purchased all of the land that house all of our buildings. So we've got the lands, we've got the surface rights, and strategically we also have access to the port. And really, I think this is strategic not only for Dolly Varden, but for the area at large. So I'm happy to say that we now control our own destiny in terms of future development.
All right, let's leave the project site and discuss some important topics germane to the projects. Do any of the projects have any earn-in options?
No, we have 100% interest.
What is your relationship with the First Nations?
So we're part of an organization called the BC Regional Mining Alliance. This is a collaboration between government, between the First Nations, and between companies. So there's 4 companies that participate in this: GT Gold, Ascot, Skeena, and Dolly Varden. And so beyond having a partnership where the First Nations, the company, and government goes out to talk to investors and let investors know that BC is open for business, The Golden Triangle has got a long history of mining. We want development with all three partners. The government's there. People like Peter Robb are there explaining the permitting process, explaining how the government was key in bringing infrastructure in. And then the First Nations partners are pro-business. We at Dolly Varden specifically, we employ a third of our workforce is from the Nass Valley. They are the Nisga'a people, and Maurice, this isn't lip service. Like, these are our brothers and our sisters. These are our friends. I live here in British Columbia, so this is an extension of my community. And the people that work on our site, they do exactly what you and I do. They coach basketball or soccer. They have really positive impacts in the local communities. And longer term, what's really pushing and motivating the team at Dolly Varden is we want to bring good, strong jobs to the area. And we really believe that this is going to be a win-win it's going to be a win for the province. It's going to be a win for the company and our shareholders. It's going to be a win for the local communities, not just the First Nations, but also the local communities in Stewart and all the contractors that support the communities and all the businesses that support those contractors. So, I'm really excited about the opportunity of all the wealth we can bring to the area, and I really know it'll be a win for all parties.
That is so encouraging to hear, because this relationship is paramount to success. If you don't have it, nothing moves forward. And all too often, I think we sometimes just look at numbers, and you have to look at the human aspect of it. And I'm glad that you take it so serious and have forged that relationship, and looks like it's going to be one going for a long time coming. Let me ask you this, sir.
I got to say, just to add to that, I can't take all the credit. We've got a very strong director on the board that came on with Dolly in February. My friend and my colleague Rob McLeod came on, and Rob is a third generation miner from Stewart, and I've really learned a lot in terms of running a junior mining company from Rob, and I've just got to pay credit for him. When we first got into the throes of this year, and we were faced with some challenges that none of us have seen before, including a global pandemic. We sat down with our First Nations partners, and we said, look, we need to come up with a plan here to ensure that we're safe, that your communities are safe, and we really worked with an organization, the Nisga'a Employment Skills and Training Organization, to develop protocols around that. And I don't think I could have done that without people on my board like Rob and other parts of our management team.
Oh, that's great to hear. Great to hear. All right, sir. Are you fully permitted?
So we're at the exploration stage right now. So we're not mining. So we're not permitted for mining today, but we are fully permitted for all the exploration activities we're carrying out.
Yes, sir. Is the ultimate goal for Dolly Varden to build a mine or arbitrage?
That's a really good question. I think the way I'd like to answer that is I've built a mine before. I've taken a company from inception into production, raising $500 million along the way. I know how to go through that exercise, and I think the way I'd like to answer that, Maurice, is at every step, every day, every week, we have to ask ourselves, what's best for the shareholders. And if we find ourselves in a situation where another company wants to come in and they want to build and they want to develop, and it's an accretive deal for our shareholders, we will do that deal. Until then, we will continue to grow inventory, de-risk the project, and move towards a mining decision.
We've discussed the good. Let's address the bad. What can go wrong, and what are your action plans to mitigate that wrong?
Okay, good question. I'll give you an example. So this year, weather was horrendous. It went wrong, and our team was just did a phenomenal job of looking for the pockets of weather to be able to get out into the field. And I think one of the things that I'm going to look at is when all the companies report their year-end results in April, and we look at a drill cost per meter in the area, I think Dolly Varden numbers are going to stand up really, really strong. And it's because we've got individuals involved with the company that are incentivized and aligned with shareholders. They're not just contractors. So when a lot of our peers were taking a weather day, our team was looking for the opportunity to get into the field. So things in business, things in mining go wrong, and it's having a team in place that is aligned with shareholders to make the best out of all scenarios and situations.
Switching gears, let's discuss the people responsible for increasing shareholder value. Mr. Khunkhun, please introduce us to your board of directors.
Okay, so I've got a very strong board. This is a board that has got individuals who've held some of the most senior positions at companies like Hecla, like Coeur Mining, some of the most famous silver companies in the world. We've got exploration geologists that worked for Anglo. We've got lawyers, accountants. We've got a team that has a skill set in incubating a small market cap company, having the ability to promote, to finance, and to execute, and then to sell or to merge the company with a larger entity. And this group has brought a lot of value to shareholders in the past, and a lot of M&A transactions. So we've got a very high functioning board, and it's a very involved board, and it's well rounded, and it's a diverse group, seasoned, and we've actually got some great chemistry, which is important, and at the end of the day, we also have a lot of fun.
That's important.
It is very important. On the management side, when COVID hit, what we started doing daily was working out together virtually. So every day at 1:15, we get together via one of the virtual platforms, and we do some exercise together for 45 minutes. And it's team building, but it's a group that you want to come to work, you want to laugh, you want to work hard, you want to have success. And I think if you do that, it doesn't really feel like work.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. All right, sir. Who is Shawn Khunkhun, and what makes him qualified for the task at hand?
So Shawn Khunkhun is a husband, is a father, soccer coach. In terms of being qualified for the task at hand, I've spent the last 17 years in the junior mining business, helping companies grow, helping companies bring awareness, and getting the financial dollars to unlock the value of the opportunities. And I've got a team of explorationists, mining engineers, and brilliant scientists that are motivated and incentivized to help me bring the best value to our shareholders.
Let's get into some numbers. Please provide us with the capital structure for Dolly Varden.
Okay, Maurice. So we have 130 million shares issued and outstanding. We've got Eric Sprott at roughly 19% interest, Hecla at around 10%, and then we've got institutions that own another 50%. So if you take in management stake in the company, about 85% of the company is held by a group that's aligned, that's long-term, that's astute precious metals investors. So a very, very small float. And we've got about $100 million market cap today. The company has $25 million in cash, and we're well positioned in a position that where we don't need to finance for at least this season and potentially the following.
How much debt do you have?
There's no debt.
And what is your burn rate?
It fluctuates as an exploration company. It varies. but we spent about $6 million this year. All in all, about 5.2 million of that was in the field.
Are there any redundant assets on the books that we should know about?
No.
All right. Are there any change of control fees? If yes, what is the compensation?
In terms of management change of control?
Yes, sir.
There's only one change of control, and for $100 million company, I think the total change of control cost is under $500,000.
Is management charging a consultant fee for any services?
No.
In closing, multi-layered question. What is the next unanswered question for Dolly Varden? When can we expect a response? And what determines success?
Okay, so the catalysts going forward are drill results. And those drill results are going to tell us a lot about going forward at the Torbert mine, whether the company will make a decision to go underground and do some underground drilling. And, success for us is growing ounces organically through exploration with a low discovery cost. And success for us is adding ounces to inventory also through acquisition, as long as it's accretive to our shareholders in the company.
Sir, what keeps you up at night that we don't know about?
What keeps me up at night?
Besides COVID, I think that's everyone's standard answer. That's a cop out there.
What keeps me up at night? It's different for different times of the year, Maurice. It just depends what's on deck. What kept me up through the summer was anytime we were in the field, I just want to make sure everybody's safe. And so it's a sigh of relief. We had no major incidents to report this year. So that's one thing that keeps me up at night is the safety of our staff. And apart from that, because we're in a strong financial position, that's not keeping me up at night. We've got a healthy balance sheet. There's no debt to service. Just the health and well-being of the people around me.
Last question, sir. What did I forget to ask?
Potentially maybe what differentiates, and I think maybe we covered this on the first question, but I just really want to emphasize how unique this company is from the perspective of being a pure silver company situated where it is. And I just want to highlight that point.
Mr. Khunkhun, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Wishing you and Dolly Varden the absolute best, sir.
Thank you so much, Maurice, for the opportunity.
All the best to you, sir.
You too.
Dolly Varden trades on the TSXV symbol DV and on the OTC symbol DOLLF. Before you make your next bullion purchase, make sure you call me. I'm a licensed representative to buy and sell physical precious metals delivered directly to your home in the form of gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium to offshore depositories and precious metal IRAs. Give me a call at 855-505-1900. That number again is 855-505-1900, or you may email Maurice@milesfranklin.com. Finally, please subscribe to Proven and Probable for mining insights and bullion sales. Subscription is free.
The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.